This is a post from October 8th, 2019, posted at 8:06 at night. I'm gonna read it out because I think it encapsulates what Paul stands for a few reasons. The first being how prolific he is, how he's just constantly writing. I'll read it out in a second, but he wrote it on the bus on the way to the hardware store. Just like this depressing ass story, like on his, I imagine like on his phone, like in his notes app or whatever. It also shows how obsessed with religion he is, his obsession with Shangri-La, how Shangri-La is impossible, and also how much he hates himself. This is something I wrote on the bus on the way to the hardware store to get a new stepladder. I have not proofread it or revised it. I wanted to show it all to you as written because I know if I were to reread it, I would hate it. Here goes. The pious Pope King Galadan, monarch of the 1,000-year-old Papacy Kingdom Galadriel, definitely a Lord of the Rings reference there, had a revelation this morning. He called for an audience in the Cathedral Palace, Galilee. The revelation was this. Two selves live inside the man, as we all know, the body and the spirit. The body is a primitive copy of the spirit and is flawed, prone to disease, hair, and warts. Stench and animal instincts such as sex and sin plague it. The soul, however, is pure, ethereal, and eternal. God's mission for us all is to reject the animal and live in the image of the soul as much as possible. But now, rather than simply asking for his forgiveness when participating in these acts, we must instead abstain completely. It is no longer enough to only be virtuous and respect thy neighbor. Animal instincts such as sex and violence must be abolished absolutely for one's pure soul to transcend into heaven. Everyone agreed. From that day forth, the Pope King and his subjects did as he commanded, and perfection was achieved. No violence, no internal strife or dramatics, only love and virtue. Socrates rolled in his grave, and Marx threw down his pen. Utopia had been achieved, finally. It was this utopia, however, that drove themselves into extinction. With no reproduction and no means to defend an attack, Utopia slowly withered and was inevitably crushed by the fists of neighboring godless kingdoms and by the unbending laws of science herself. And so, after 1,000 years of Pleionexic pursuit of purity had finally been achieved, only to be raped and destroyed a mere moment afterwards. Super dramatic, super depressing, super Paul, you know, basically he's saying, right, like, first off, I don't think this is possible. I don't think everyone would get on board and be like, you know what, yeah, let's stop having sex. Come on, you can't convince that many people. He's an antinatalist. I've said this before, right? I don't remember. Hardcore antinatalism. Yeah, so if humans ever were to achieve utopia, Shangri-La, you know, perfection, it would not be allowed to continue just because of the other people around it. Because, okay, to convince the entire world of this, no. But if, let's say you could convince a race of people, they would get wiped out because, you know, the strong eats the weak, or, you know, whatever the quote is. Real sad. I love this story. It's cool. I love it. I wonder if he would actually hate it after he reread it. He probably would. Such a shame. I wonder how much work we're missing from him because of he wrote it and then said, oh fuck, never mind, and like deleted it. Like he must delete posts, right? I haven't noticed anything. I have never seen a post of his and being like, went back to find it and I couldn't find it. Maybe I should start doing that. Maybe I should start going back and rereading some of his posts to see if he deletes it, because, like, what is it? Medicine Wheel? Medicine Wheel, he constantly revises it, right? Like, the original version is, I don't think, anywhere near this. So we know he does this, and we know that he doesn't like to reread things because he would hate it. So, such a shame. I think that with art all the time is like, Francis Bacon is another big one for that. He would cut up all of his canvases. If he painted something that he didn't love, he would rip it up to shreds. And like, we have a lot of paintings from him. Like, he was pretty prolific, but Jesus fuck, if we had all of his paintings, like, crazy. I wonder if the value would go down of his paintings. Yeah, Interesting.